Artificial intelligence is changing our world.
A new study out today predicting almost half of all global jobs could be affected by artificial intelligence.
Pose catastrophic national security risks. This, according to a new report commissioned by the U.S. State Department.
Also really positive implications. I mean, there's the ability to address major healthcare problems, hunger, homelessness.
People are asking what this means for our future. As an interdisciplinary group of law students and graduate students in computer science and information science at the University of British Columbia, we were interested in exploring how AI might impact the future of armed conflict, particularly in relation to so-called autonomous weapon systems, or AWS. And we put together this video because we think it's important for the general public to be more informed on the development of these systems and the conversation around how they should be regulated. The term autonomous weapon systems refers to weapons that can operate without direct human control or supervision. Even before artificial intelligence, or AI, weapons like landmines were an example of crude autonomous weapon systems, since once they've been put in place, they can detonate without human control or supervision. Today, however, AI is enabling a wider range of AWS than ever before, from unmanned drones to ground-based robots, all designed to carry out various military tasks such as reconnaissance and even combat operations. They rely on real-time image recognition to detect objects in an image. This is achieved by being trained on a large number of similar images and scenarios. Previously, processing this amount of data was not feasible on the device, and a human in the loop would make decisions, primarily from a remote base. But given the advances in hardware and software technologies, real-time processing and decision-making on the device is now a reality. In 2020, STM Cargo, equipped with real-time image processing technologies that enable target identification and tracking, detected and attacked Libyan National Army forces without command, according to a report from the United Nations Security Council's panel of experts on Libya, published in March 2021. MQ-9 Reaper is another autonomous weapon system, primarily designed for the United States Air Force. It is capable of remotely controlled, or fully autonomous, flight operations. This drone is equipped with a new high-performance computing system that offers the capability to detect, correlate, identify, and track objects of interest. Proponents of AI-enabled AWS often identify economic, operational, and human benefits. These systems can operate without humans in the loop, which can allow for savings in recruitment, training, and personnel maintenance costs. A comparative analysis made by David Francis regarding the war in Afghanistan in 2013 shows that a soldier costs almost $1 million a year, compared to $300,000 for a robot. Furthermore, advanced AWS might be able to function effectively in extreme environments where human soldiers' abilities would be impacted by the harsh conditions. Even in standard operating conditions, these systems' onboard sensors and AI technology might make them able to process information and make decisions more rapidly than human soldiers. Proponents of autonomous weapon systems assert that such features mean their use would result in a reduction in military casualties. If instead of having a fighter pilot fly a plane, the military uses an autonomous drone, there is no risk to their personnel. Proponents say this approach allows the preservation of human lives by shifting the burden of physical risk from humans to machines. However, the target of the drone attack would of course still be at risk, and so the use of AWS leading to a reduction in casualties is far from a sure thing. Autonomous weapon systems could use force against civilians, either by defect or by design. This is one of many potential harms which could arise from the deployment of AI-enabled AWS. Even for purposes like counterinsurgency, peacekeeping, and other stabilizing operations, while the presence of human peacekeepers, in the best-case scenario, may provide some sense of stability or security to civilians in a city patrolled by armed, autonomous drones would likely be decried as a dystopian nightmare. Decision-making algorithms on autonomous weapon systems rely on a huge amount of training data. They learn from that data. But what happens if the weapon system is in an unforeseen environment? Think of self-driving vehicles. They also use decision-making algorithms to detect obstacles and other road users. Although still improving, they are not accurate enough to be used without human supervision. Now, consider how much harder it would be to build an accurate model of an unpredictable war zone. If a human soldier decides to commit war crimes, they can be held accountable by their own country or even under international law. If an autonomous weapon system was deployed and had a catastrophic failure leading to loss of life, there is more uncertainty about who could be held accountable, and more potential for military officials to deflect blame. Right now is a crucial time in history, as the future of the use of AI-enabled AWS depends on decisions made in the next few years, while we are still in the early stages of their development. A coalition of NGOs, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, are working together on the Stop Killer Robots campaign to create an international legal treaty between states banning certain kinds of autonomous weapon systems. There is precedent for such a movement being successful. In the 1990s, the international campaign to ban landmines began. Similar to Stop Killer Robots, this successful campaign was led by a coalition of NGOs. The campaigners argued that landmines violate two key requirements of international humanitarian law: distinction and proportionality. Distinction requires that armies distinguish between civilians and enemy combatants. Landmines fail to do so because they are typically activated by any person stepping on them, whether that person is a soldier or a school child. Recent studies show 70 to 85% of landmine casualties are civilians. Proportionality refers to ensuring that military action is proportionate to military objectives, and that superfluous injury or unnecessary suffering is avoided. Landmines have a high propensity to maim victims and cause superfluous injury. Human Rights Watch has argued that AI-enabled autonomous weapon systems are similarly likely to violate these principles of distinction and proportionality. Certain academics and experts from within the military disagree. For example, Hitoshi Nasu and Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Corpella, professors at West Point, the United States Military Academy, argue that ensuring AI-enabled autonomous weapon systems comply with the requirements of distinction and proportionality is merely a technological hurdle, meaning a ban is unnecessary. However, other military experts see things differently, as indicated in this interview clip produced by the Stop Killer Robots campaign.
The issue of decision-making about whether you should shoot or not comes over most frequently in occasions where you're not in a major war fighting on a battlefront, but you're actually in a town or a city and you're imposing order and you're having to deal with civilians and this sort of thing. And you have to make rapid decisions about, is this person who's just come around this corner with a rifle, are they going to try and kill me? Or is it just because they all carry rifles around here? And humans are very good at making that assessment and not just killing everyone. For example, a wounded enemy, once you realize he's injured and he's effectively surrendered, then he's given protection and looked after.
So humans have the ability to sort of keep up with these changes, to use context, and machines don't, because the decision making when you build a software system is done. Like, you have prepackaged decisions, and if the context changes and those prepackaged decisions are no longer appropriate, it's too bad.
What does AI mean for the future of war? The next few years will be crucial in determining the answer, and it depends on what our governments are able to agree on. If you feel strongly about this, now is the time to learn more and to make your voice heard.